Count them 5 GOP presidential candidates headed to New Hampshire, the site of the party's first primary election of the 2024 cycle.
And it comes as Ron DeSantis unveils his very strict border policy that vows to eliminate excuses for not getting the job done.
This border, because of the neglect of the Biden administration, because of their intentional failures, this border is controlled by the Mexican drug cartels. That is a disgrace.
We are asking voters along our southern border which candidate they trust the most to clean up the mess.
Meantime, quite the sight in the Big Apple.
You heard of the Boston Tea Party? This is the New York Pizza Party. Give us pizza or give us death.
There we go. Start your chucking. If you can't take the heat, don't touch the ovens. We have the backstory behind the pizza paddock. Hi, everyone. You're watching Fox & Friends First here on a Tuesday morning. I'm Todd Pyro.
Hey, Todd. I'm Carly Shimkus, and we start with this. President Biden shutting down claims he knew about his son Hunter Biden's overseas business dealings, despite that damning WhatsApp message allegedly sent by the first son that appears to tie him to millions of dollars of Chinese cash.
With exclusive reporting. Brooke.
Hi, good morning, Todd. Carly. President Biden's denial comes as the White House goes on defense about Hunter Biden attending the state dinner with his father. All this amid stunning whistleblower allegations of political interference in the federal investigation into his tax affairs, which led to Hunter pleading guilty to 2 federal tax charges and 1 federal gun charge in what some are calling a sweetheart plea deal that will likely keep the president's son out of prison. Listen.
Hunter Biden wasn't the president's son. Would he have invited someone who had just reached a plea agreement with federal prosecutors 2 days earlier?
A couple of things. Again, that's his son. He's a family member. It is not uncommon for family members to attend events at the White House. I'm just not going to get into family discussion, personal family discussion.
It comes after IRS whistleblowers told Congress the agency recommended far more charges for Hunter Biden, but said the decision was hampered by political influence at the DOJ. Now, House Republicans say Americans deserve answers from the prosecutors who allegedly mishandled the probe from the very beginning.
We will continue to focus on the Justice Department. So we want to talk to David Weiss. We want to talk to Mr. Estrada. We want to talk to Leslie Wolf. We want to talk to all these U.S. attorneys and say, why did you do it this way? I mean, this is a credible whistleblower, 14 years experience.
House Oversight Committee Chairman James Comer now sounding off against having a special counsel, telling me exclusively, quote, if you support a special counsel, you support and trust Merrick Garland to have the sole authority to pick one person who can then take over the investigation and never have to be transparent with the media or Congress. I trust the House Oversight Committee to be the one and only entity leading this investigation. Comer went on to tell me he believes the crimes the Bidens may have committed are actually being covered up by Garland. And guys, he says his committee will get to the bottom of it. Carly.
All right, Brooke Singman live for us. Thank you so much. Listen to this. The ladies of The View defending the president during the drama surrounding his family's business. Co-host Ana Navarro even appearing to get a little emotional with this comment.
The Hunter Biden story, the scandal, the this, the that, it's also the story of a father's love. And Joe Biden has never and will never give up on his son Hunter, and will never treat him lesser than. And so he is a father first. Take it or leave it.
Okay. You know, I will have to say, if you read the emails and the text messages that are on the laptop, Joe Biden never looks more sympathetic than when he's trying to pull his son out of the throes of the addiction. So that's one thing. The other thing, though, of course, is the plea deal. Is it fair? Hunter Biden making money off a family name and this allegation of bribery, and that is something else entirely. That does not make the president look very sympathetic.
You know, look, nobody's telling Joe Biden to not love his son Hunter. You love your children unconditionally. Sure. That's not the issue. The issue is Hunter Biden clearly receiving preferential treatment at the hands of Joe Biden's Justice Department. Yeah. Plain and simple. End of story. Full stop. That is what is happening here, and that is what so many people have a problem with. It's not the father-son relationship, and that's a false flag. It's a red herring for Ana Navarro and people on the left to say so.
I don't know if she was getting emotional during that moment, but one of the narratives that does keep on repeatedly come up and for defenders of the Biden family is that Hunter is a sympathetic figure because of his addiction.
There are a lot of people who are sympathetic. They don't commit many federal crimes, at least some that have
and
not
get
yet.
giant plea deals because of them.
Happening today, quadruple murder suspect Bryan Kohberger due in an Idaho court for a hearing related to his indictment one day after prosecutors announced they are seeking the death penalty. Kohberger's accused of stabbing Xana, Madison, Kaylee, and Ethan to death in their off-campus home near the University of Idaho. He's facing 4 counts of first-degree murder and 1 count of burglary. He's been held in jail without bail since he was arrested in late December. His trial scheduled to begin on October 2nd.
Check this out. Surveillance video shows to fight all the way to the end. I feel good about it. I feel violated, but I feel good because I put up a fight. No word.
In Rhode Island, arrested and charged for keying a car that had an anti-Biden bumper sticker. Take a look. Body cam footage showing the moment officers confronted Joshua Miller at the scene last week.
The maniac who yelled at me in the car next to me?
They weren't in the car next to you. There was no one in the car.
I didn't scratch his car. I'm a state senator. I think he recognized me. I think he's one of the gun nuts. He called out my name. I never told him my name.
All right. He didn't say any of that, okay?
Yeah. It's interesting to watch a lie in progress. The state senator was allowed to leave the parking lot, but officers went to his home later that night after seeing surveillance video, which they say shows him damaging the car.
We got your evidence. You keyed his car.
Yeah.
And we can either make a big deal out of this or a little deal. So.
Okay. He was saying, hey, Miller, what are you going to do, right?
Yeah, so I'm going to be right up front with you. Saw your picture, and he said, that's the guy that just keyed my car. I don't know. Do you know the guy? Why would you key his car?
I didn't. Listen. He was threatening me already.
There's a video.
Okay. He was threatening me.
Oh, what a tangled web we weave. Miller now faces a misdemeanor vandalism charge, was released from police custody on $1,000 recognizance bond. It's no laughing matter for Kamala Harris. Her approval numbers are the lowest ever recorded. We'll show you just how bad it's gotten for the VP.
But things are looking up for Ron DeSantis, who just landed a major new endorsement. Florida's chief financial officer, Jimmy Patronis, is here to tell us all about it. He's coming up next. This is not good news if your name is Kamala Harris. A new poll reveals the vice president has the lowest approval rating for a vice president in NBC News polling history. It says 49% of registered voters have a negative view of Harris compared to only 32% having a positive view. That makes her the least liked vice president since NBC started conducting the poll. Dick Cheney had the highest back in 2003 with 47% approval. Okay, moving on. 5 GOP presidential candidates are heading to New Hampshire today, the site of the party's first primary election in the 2024 cycle.
Alexandria Hoff joins us live from Washington with the latest. Alex.
Carly, Todd, good morning. The New Hampshire primaries coming up early next year, and campaign time, that's no time. So hitting the Granite State today, you have former President Trump, Governor Ron DeSantis, Nikki Haley, Vivek Ramaswamy, and former Congressman Will Hurd's going to be there, too. He just joined the race last week, so he's in it now. And if we look at the Real Clear Politics average of polls in New Hampshire, the former president holds twice the support of his top challenger, Ron DeSantis. The rest fall into the low single digits. Now, Governor DeSantis is coming off of a visit to the U.S.-Mexico border where he criticized both President Biden and former President Trump's handling of the crisis there.
We are going to be the administration that finally brings the issue of our southern border to a conclusion. We will stop the invasion. We will reassert our nation's sovereignty, and we will fight these cartels so that Americans stop dying from their poison.
Well, the former president fired back on Truth Social. He wrote this, quote, DeSanctimonious showed up today in Eagle Pass on the Texas border with almost no crowd or excitement. He is a failed candidate whose sole purpose in making the trip was to reiterate the fact that he would do all of the things done by me in creating the strongest border by far in U.S. history, a total waste of time, he said. But DeSantis did score a major win yesterday with an endorsement by Florida's largest police union, which announced this, quote, the choice for us could not be be clearer. Governor Ron DeSantis and his administration have made Florida a law and order state. He's one of the most effective governors in the nation, and he will take his proven track record to the White House. And now that union has over 30,000 members. Carly Todd.
All right, Alexandria Hoff live for us. Thank you so much. With that, let's bring in Florida's Chief Financial Officer, Jimmy Patronis. Jimmy, good morning to you. So this police union is in Florida, but the reason it's notable is because they once backed Trump. Now they're endorsing DeSantis, which I'm sure brought a big smile to the governor's face. What's your reaction to that?
So in Florida, we pride ourselves on our support of our law enforcement. We, this past year, increased salaries. We increased retirement benefits. But I think at the end of the day, there's something that's consistent between myself and Governor DeSantis and the policies we're passing. We have the strongest economy in the history of the state, and you don't have that unless it is safe. That safety net in the state of Florida is robust. We've recruited over 2,200 out-of-state law enforcement officers with our retention bonus, recruitment bonus over the last year. So, again, if you want to have a safe economy, a happy state, support your law enforcement.
We've interviewed countless former New York City, New York State, New Jersey, Connecticut officers who moved south to Florida in light of those bonuses, and now they're pretty happy there in your state. Meantime, the House Weaponization Subcommittee says the Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency, or CISA for short, has censored Americans during the Biden administration. The report says, quote, the committee and select subcommittee have obtained previously undisclosed non-public documents that reveal CISA expanded its mission to surveil American speech on social media, colluded with big tech and government-funded third parties to censor by proxy, and tried to hide its plainly unconstitutional activities from the public. Your reaction, Jimmy, to this troubling but not unsurprising report?
This is exactly why the states like Florida have to go and put their own policies in place. This past year, we passed a very robust data privacy package. It seems like the Biden administration just loves allowing these billionaire social media moguls from California to rule the world. And oh, by the way, they are just unfettered support from China. Again, it's so disappointing that our administration won't take this in hand, especially because of what it does to our children and how vulnerable they are at the age they're at. Again, Washington is broken when it comes to this issue.
You know, Jimmy, back to the on the endorsement topic. More than half of Florida's Republican congressional delegation has endorsed Donald Trump. And Congressman Greg Steube, he's one of them. He has said that he's tried many times to reach out to Governor DeSantis and never heard back, even though his district was hit hardest by Hurricane Ian. He seems to suggest that the governor has trouble cultivating relationships. Is that true?
Look, I've served with Greg. Greg's a great member of Congress. I think Governor DeSantis is just the way he rolls. You know what? There's an old adage when it comes to Harry Truman. If you want a friend in politics, go get yourself a dog. Ron DeSantis works. He is a workhorse. He works around the clock. I'm proud of his service to the state. Greg's just upset because he didn't get his phone call returned. Big deal.
Well, he was definitely working hard down at the border yesterday, announcing his big-time border policies, and we're going to be talking about them with a panel coming up later in the show. Jimmy, thanks for joining us.
Thanks, Jimmy.
Thank y'all. Take care.
You too. All right, Dr. Anthony Fauci just landed a brand new distinguished teaching gig. We're going to tell you which major university is putting him on the payroll.
And Carly, an appropriate question for you and me now. Would you buy your child an AI teddy bear?
Let's go with no.
A toy company exec here to tell us about the good and the bad that comes with these new high-tech toys when we come back. With a Fox weather alert. More than 1,000 flights already canceled today as severe storms grip the East Coast. Parts of New York, New Jersey, Pennsylvania under severe thunderstorm watches, with areas already reporting damage and downed trees. Meantime, central North Carolina getting pelted with hail balls as the National Weather Service warns the region there could see up to 2 inches.
And this comes as the stifling heat wave across the South enters its 12th day. Triple-digit temperatures across Texas are expected to continue as excessive heat warnings are issued for more than 30 million Americans from the Lone Star State to Florida. Senior Senior meteorologist Janice Dean is here with our Fox weather forecast. Janice.
Yet another day with so much happening. These are the storm reports for parts of the Northeast. Remember, we were forecasting this yesterday. A lot of storm damage as well for the I-95 corridor, and we could see another round of strong storms today. So taking a look at the radar, we have this area of low pressure across the Great Lakes. Flash flood warning just west of New Jersey into right on the border of Pennsylvania. And then we also have some stronger storms for the Plain States today. That could include hail, damaging winds, and isolated tornadoes. The heat, of course, we are covering for parts of the South, but we've got a lot of thunderstorms across the Rockies as well. Here's the severe storm threat for the Plain States, a widespread area here, and then across the interior Northeast as well. We'll be watching that. Heat alerts, as you mentioned, from the Southwest to Florida. Another day of extreme heat for Texas. They're into their third week of temperatures surpassing 100 degrees in a lot of the big cities, and with the humidity, it's just oppressive and dangerous to be outside. The heat is going to shift eastward, and that means very warm temperatures for parts of the Mississippi River Valley, the Midwest, expanding across the Gulf Coast. Look at the potential record highs again today for Texas, 110 in Del Rio, San Angelo, 111. It is just very dangerous and will continue throughout this work week. So we're going to see possible record highs today through the week. Texas, across the Mississippi River Valley. So dangerous. Heat is the #1 weather-related killer. And this is, no end in sight, really. Also want to make mention, we have smoke again for the upper Midwest moving into the Northeast this week from the Canadian wildfires.
Those fires are still
going.
Yes,
it's going to happen all summer long.
That is so bad for air quality, so bad for people trying to breathe, infants and elderly. Please stay inside.
Yep.
JD, thank you.
You got it.
The toy company VTech says they're looking into adding AI technology into your child's teddy bear. The company's CEO pushing the idea, saying, quote, you can incorporate not only the kid's name, but the kid's daily activities. It knows who your friends are. It can actually be telling a story and talking almost like a good friend. Sydney Wiseman is Vice President of Brand Development and Creative Strategy at WowWee. Great name. She joins me now. Sydney, is this a good idea?
Good morning, Todd. Yes, I think eventually it's going to be a good idea. However, I don't think we're 100% there yet. I think there are so many rules and regulations, and as toy makers, our #1 thing is children's safety. And until they flesh out the child safety around AI, I think we're years away from it being incorporated into toys, unless we use it in more of a kind of closed network like we do in some of our robots.
Okay, explain to me how AI could make its way into my child's toy, because I want to have an open mind about this, but right now I'm a little scared. So explain to me how it would go down.
So I think in the story, it's funny, when all of these AI tools come out, we use them quite frequently at the office, and an AI tool comes out, and the first thing that came through my mind was storytelling. It makes perfect sense. Kids are going to speak, a toy is going to learn as they speak, and it's going to be able to create a story for them based on what they like. However, as we know, kids do often say the darndest things, and until we're able to kind of control what information it's taking, it's still going to be in this world of we're figuring out the best practices to be able to use it. But I do think that using AI as something that makes toys smart based on the kid and the kid's personalities is something that we're all really going to strive to look into how we incorporate that into our future toys.
Okay, that makes sense. But I look at this and say, isn't this just another way, another thing in my house that can spy on me and potentially be used by nefarious actors all the way from China down to, I hate to say it, but a pedophile to infiltrate my child and my home?
Yeah, so I think honestly, cameras are something that we're always super caution putting into toys. I think if any company is going to crack it, I think it will be the VTechs of the world, or even like at WowWee, we have a robot dog, and he is a smart dog. It's called Dog-E, and he does actually learn based on how a child plays with it. However, it's learning in a closed world that we created, that we monitor. So the information that the child, based on how they play with it, the dog is going to learn and adapt to the child, but it's not going to learn in a way that it's going to learn the child's name and then share that information to anywhere. The child is going to tell the dog its name, and it's going to stay within the framework of this, and sure, it's going to learn. So we're using AI-esque technology in this robot, but keeping it kind of closed so that the information doesn't get shared anywhere.
Well, let's hope.
So I think it's going to be a balance.
Yeah, let's hope that that remains the case, because to that point, we have a little doll. It's like a robot. It dances. It asks me to say its name. It asks me to sing to it, and I do. But I'm always worried, like, is this somehow communicating this back to the CCP? I know it sounds crazy, but I think about that every time that stupid doll asks me to sing. And it's real. It does ask me to sing. Sydney Wiseman, we appreciate your time. Thanks so much. Good insight. Appreciate it. It asked me to sing.
I'm not going to ask you to sing.
Thank you. Ron DeSantis laying out his plan for taking back our border from the cartels.
If somebody were breaking into your house to do something bad, you would respond with force. Yet why don't we do that at the southern border? So if the cartels are cutting through the border wall, trying to run product into this country, they're going to end up stone cold dead.
Our next guests are border state voters who have been personally impacted by the crisis. We're going to ask them if they like what they're hearing from DeSantis. Stay with us.
Overnight, Russia dropping charges against the rebel mercenaries that staged a brief rebellion over the weekend. That despite Vladimir Putin admitting that the threat played right into the hands of Russia's adversaries. Forces from the Wagner private military group marched halfway to Moscow in open rebellion of Putin's regime before Belarus stepped in and negotiated a deal between the two sides. Now, a jet linked to the leader of the group was tracked flying from Russia to Belarus just today, where that leader agreed to go into exile to avoid consequences from Vladimir Putin. Stay tuned. Also breaking overnight, a Fox Digital exclusive. Former Navy SEAL Tim Sheehy launching a campaign to unseat Democrat Jon Tester in the Montana Senate race.
Whether it was in war or business, I see problems and solve them. America needs conservative leaders who love our country, and that's why I'm running for the United States Senate.
Stay tuned to this one, too. This is definitely one to watch, because if the Republican flips this seat, it would have a big effect on the party's bid to take back the upper chamber. Carly.
All right, Florida governor and 2024 presidential candidate Ron DeSantis is putting out an aggressive strategy to clean up the chaos at our southern border.
It is humiliating as a country to not have control over our own territory. We need to do something about it. And we're not going to make excuses. We're not just going to do empty promises. We are going to deliver results. We are going to be the administration that finally brings the issue of our southern border to a conclusion.
Jonathan Lines is the Yuma County supervisor and joins us now, along with Sandra Bagwell, who lost her son to fentanyl poisoning last year. And Bob Pena is executive director of the El Paso GOP. All have been impacted by the crisis at our southern border. So thank you all for joining us. Ron DeSantis' plan to secure the border includes ending catch and release, reimposing remain in Mexico, increasing Border Patrol pay. He says he wants to take action to end birthright citizenship and deport visa overstays. Bob, what do you think about that plan?
I loved every part of that. There's so much sense in everything that he's saying. The thing that I'm especially interested in is just stopping it and not doing the accounting and the clerical effort of bringing people in. You have no idea what chaos this is doing on the border, and not only in El Paso, but think about the poor people in our sister city of Juarez that have these tens of thousands of people coming in, camping in their streets. It's a mess everywhere. The poor sister city of Juarez, they're very poor. They can't handle tens of thousands of people coming in. You drive through the streets in Juarez. I work in Juarez. I go there every day. I come back to El Paso every day. I have longer bridge lines. I wait an hour or 2 hours at the bridge to cross because all of our Customs and Border Patrol agents are busy doing clerical work and they're not staffing the bridge lines.
Wow, so you have a first-hand account of what's going on because you're crossing from Mexico to the United States every day for work, which is very interesting. Jonathan, out of all the candidates running for president, and there are many, which one do you think would handle this crisis the best?
You know, it's been interesting. President Trump has been to Yuma, I think 3 times during his presidency. DeSantis was just down at the Tucson border. I also had Robert Kennedy Jr. here about a month ago, and all of them had basically the same message: to secure the border. You know, speaking here with a lot of the local people who work in the military, who work in agriculture, they're looking for somebody who, regardless of whose idea it was, will actually do what they say they're going to do. We've had hundreds of people come to Yuma, Arizona to look at the border. We're looking for a permanent solution. We've almost got the wall finished here. Mayorkas said that he was going to finish it, over 15 months ago on behalf of President Biden, and we've got maybe 60 feet. I'd love to see somebody fully resolved and committed to doing what they say they're going to do. We have multiple segments of the wall here in Yuma that have been completed by the last 5 presidents. We're looking for a final and permanent resolution to the challenges, especially because of the fentanyl, and I'm very sorry to the other guest for the loss of her son. I think that here in Yuma, there hasn't anybody that hasn't been affected by fentanyl and the ravaging destruction that it leaves.
Well, Sandra, Governor DeSantis did talk about the fentanyl issue yesterday, which is an issue that you care about deeply, having lost your son to fentanyl poisoning last year. Let's take a listen to how he said he'd handle this issue. Watch this.
If somebody were breaking into your house to do something bad, you would respond with force. Yet why don't we do that at the southern border? So if the cartels are cutting through the border wall, trying to run product into this country, they're going to end up stone cold dead.
In a nutshell, he says that he wants to use military force against drug cartels. Sandra, what do you think about that?
I think that's amazing. If he can follow through in his border policy plan, I think that would be a great thing, because fentanyl is just, as you all know, just coming through the border and just killing Americans at alarming rates, and it needs to stop. We need help and from our federal government, and if he promises to do what he's saying, then we can save so many lives, and that's our mission.
Well, Governor DeSantis yesterday says that it's humiliating that our country does not have control over our own territory, and people on both sides of the aisle would agree with that statement. Bob, Sandra, Jonathan, thank you for joining us.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right. There is also this. Democrat climate regulations are coming for New York City pizzerias by cracking down on coal and wood fire ovens.
Those new regulations could take a big bite out of the business. Take a look. Some managers of a big-time pizza shop are here now.
Với chế độ mà mình lên thuốc này có một món. Không ai lại pha nữa mình được đồ thế này. Đấy. Pha để mình được đồ. Ủa, mình rất là bộ luôn. Hết nước. Đây là khi điện bây giờ mình đây là cái chia tham gia đầu tiên mà mình được giới thiệu với mình. Đây là những sản phẩm mà mình đang bán và giới thiệu trên con dân phân, game và các thứ rất là nhiều luôn. Chia hại nhau. Đây là cái giá này nè. Nói chung là cái hầm thì không gian nó rất là thoáng luôn, xuống đây nó rất là mát cho mọi người, nhưng mà ngồi một thời gian thì rất là nóng. Thiết kế bên trên này. Bên trên thì kiểu nó có hình mũi tên đi vô á, giống như mà bật này.